What's going on, guys?
Welcome to ID Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
If you are a longtime listener, welcome back. If you are new to the show, we interview the world's leading therapists, psychologists. We interview so many interesting people. I forgot for a second. And counselors and relationship experts to bring you the advice. And we are right there along with you, getting advice for ourselves. We don't really say this that often, but I'm Chase.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're married. We've been married for what? 2.5 years now.
Almost 3 years. And we created this podcast because we were avid podcast listeners and we were looking for a podcast to help us improve our relationship because we just gotten engaged and we were kind of looking for premarital advice via podcast. And there wasn't really anything out there that kind of filled our need, what we were looking for. So we decided to make one.
Yeah, here we are. So
we're learning right along with you.
Yeah, that's the little backstory for you. And maybe if you've listened to a bunch of shows, you might not have known that because we don't really say, hey, we're a married couple. I mean, it's kind of implied a bit. Maybe not. Maybe you're just like my neighbor and we record together. No, we do try to talk about our
relationship
struggles and what we do. So on today's show, we welcome Dr. Kathy McCoy, and she is a psychotherapist and award-winning journalist and author of more than a dozen books on relationships. So she definitely has a ton of knowledge. And today we talk about resolutions that we can make with ourselves to create the change that we want in the relationship. So we focus in on 5 specific tools that you can do to help improve the relationship. So you don't need to be struggling. In fact, these are tools that Sarah and I, we consider, we're in a happy relationship right now, but these are tools that I think we need to do. We do a little bit, but we can definitely do more often because why not make the relationship better? We should always be trying to do that because relationships take work. So Dr. Kathy gives us these tools and they're ones that some we've heard on the show before, but a couple we haven't had explicitly laid out like this. And they're easy to do, but they're going to take some intention. And so listen to the show and put these tools into practice.
Yeah, we'll be sure to put something together for you in the show notes that kind of outlines these 5 steps because like Chase said, they're easy, but they do take intention. And maybe by printing this out and putting it on your refrigerator or something as a reminder, or like Dr. Kathy mentioned, another way to really help it benefit your relationship is maybe not make a announcement that this is what you're doing, but just kind of to do it. And hopefully your partner will lead by example.
Yeah, it's really great stuff. And as always, we appreciate you guys listening and enjoy today's show.
Hi, Dr. Kathy. Thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you.
Dr. Kathy, we've given our listeners a little overview, told them about your work. Why don't you take a minute, tell us about yourself and why you enjoy helping people improve their relationships?
Well, I think that, as a psychotherapist, I love to see people get better and to improve their relationships. And, as somebody who has had a number of friendships and love relationships and has been married for almost 41 years, I know how tough it can be, even when you love someone very much to maintain a relationship, especially marriage. And there are many different cycles of intimacy in a marriage, and it's important not to panic. I think one of the saddest things I've seen as a therapist is that many times people who are fairly newly married panic when they begin to feel a little bit of distance. And saddest of all, some make the assumption that the marriage was a mistake and distance further, and sometimes end the marriage when it doesn't have to be that way. So it's always wonderful to help people get through some of the tough times and rediscover joy in a relationship.
Well, our discussion today is definitely going to help us and our listeners do that. And that is the resolutions we can make with ourselves to help improve the relationship. And I really love this because a lot of times we talk about it on the show that it doesn't need to come from your partner to see the change that you want. A lot of times people sit back and they're like, how can I change my partner? Well, the reality is that we need to make the change first. And you have some great tips for how we can be proactive and decide on making the change that we want. So why don't we dive right into that?
Okay, sure. And, you're right, Jason, that many times people assume that change has to come, many times people that if he would just do something different or if she would just change. And that's not in our power to do. And if you're sitting around waiting for your partner to change or to do, to be the partner that you would really like, I think you could wait forever. So it's important to make the changes that you would like him or her to make yourself first. And, perhaps that can be a pathway to both of your changing. But even just little things can make such a difference. One of the things that, is a resolution that you can make is paying more attention to your husband or wife. It may be as simple as, and I'm not thinking for some people this isn't simple, but unplugging from electronics and having a real conversation. It may mean, noticing changes like, and, this sounds terribly minor, but it can make a difference, like a new haircut or an achievement that may be meaningful to him or her, like finishing a jigsaw puzzle or a crossword puzzle, and feeling a sense of pride about it and just noticing that and saying, wow, you did a Thursday New York Times crossword? That's incredible. And even if you have no interest in that, to notice and honor an achievement of your spouse can make such a difference. A friend of mine who was married for many years, many of them unhappily, was saying to me not long ago that his wife would always greet him at the door with the question, if she said anything at all, it would be, did you do all the errands I asked you to do on the way home from work? And that never once did she ask, how was your day? And a lot of people think, gee, asking somebody, how was your day is, incredibly lame. But it can make a difference because it shows that you care. If you ask that question and then you listen for a response or press for a response, it can make a huge difference. And my friend said, that simple question might have made him feel that he mattered to her. And I think it's very important to have the feeling that one matters to one's spouse and taking the first step yourself to show your husband or wife that he or she matters to you can be huge. Another step is to express gratitude. And sometimes, especially if you're going through a difficult time, that can seem like a pretty tall order. But, as well as complimenting your partner for just things that he or she either normally does or special projects that they've done, or maybe gratitude for small kindnesses or for that person being very patient with your parents or other in-laws who might be annoying, or being gracious about welcoming your old friends who came before the marriage, and friends that he or she may not like quite as much as you do. Expressing gratitude for their hospitality and graciousness with old friends can make a huge difference. And I think just even sometimes saying, I'm so thankful that we're together, or even when things are rough for us, I'm so grateful that we're together, we found each other, and that I just know we can get through this. And, expressing that kind of hope, once again, can make a difference, and it can, be catching. Hope is a very positive emotion that can give your partner more confidence, too, in your relationship. And I think it's important, too, to make a resolution to honor differences. What I hear a lot as a therapist, excuse me, is, we're so different, or there are things we don't have in common, or she likes to socialize, I don't. And, there can be this awful routine of, one person complaining, we never do anything, we never go out, it's so boring. And the other person saying, I hate these social events, I can't stand it, and feeling dragged to these things and sulking, or maybe not warming to the occasion as much as the other partner would like. And I think honoring differences is so important. I have another friend who's had a very successful marriage for a number of years, and they have so many cultural differences. She's an immigrant who absolutely loves to socialize, and he's kind of a quiet guy. He's not so into these things. And so they've made this agreement that when it really matters to her, he will go to a party with her, and he won't complain, and he'll enjoy himself as much as he can, as quiet as he is. But if it isn't important to her that he come with her, then she goes off happily to a party, and he stays home, and he's happy, and it works for them. And he said he really loves the fact that she's so outgoing, and again, has a lot of gratitude for the fact that they've built such a strong marriage despite, or maybe because of, their differences. So I think, for example, some women, and again, I don't want to do gender stereotypes, but for example, some women think, I can't stand it during football season. He's so into sports, and, we never do anything because he's always watching sports on TV. Or maybe a husband doesn't understand why his wife would want to spend time with her parents regularly when maybe her childhood wasn't so great. And I think that learning to honor an interest that you don't share, or understand that there are complexities in family relationships that are tough to grasp initially and maybe ever, but honoring somebody's wish to, have relationships with extended family, again, is a sign of respect for a partner. And so, I think it's important to catch yourself when you're automatically starting to complain about a difference and think, well, maybe our differences make our relationship more complex but more interesting. And also both are happier, I think, when you do give each other the space to enjoy not only what you share, but also what you don't share. And so I think that can be important.
These are three great places to start, and I just want to reiterate them because they're so important. But paying more attention to our partner, and expressing gratitude and honoring our differences. And those are all things that we can do individually and make a commitment to. And to start with paying more attention to my partner, it, like you said, it does seem simple and kind of elementary, but it's like these little things in the relationship that can often have the biggest difference. I love it when Sarah asks me, how was my day? Or asks me when I come back from surfing, like, how are the waves? Like, and generally wants to know, because like, that's the whole point of being in a relationship. Otherwise I'll go home by myself and, there's no one there and I have no one to tell how the waves were. And it's a little bit lonelier, but that's my existence. But if we're in a relationship, we have another partner. I don't want to say that that's their role, but that's what makes it a positive relationship, is that someone that can be a mirror and can ask us things and reflect have a reflection of ourselves, whether it's good or bad, back onto ourselves, so we can learn about ourselves. So I really like that one. And then obviously expressing the gratitude.
And I would like to point out one thing that you mentioned in your article that we haven't addressed yet is to kind of make these changes unannounced. So like, you don't have to say this is what I'm going to be doing in the relationship. You just kind of do it. And hopefully your partner will see that and make the adjustment themselves to kind of lead by example.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think, the things when we announce, really, I'm glad you brought that up, because when we make a big announcement and this is going to happen, that's going to happen, we get expectations up. We have expectations of our partner, and they may come to expect certain things, or it may feel kind of artificial in some ways to them. But if you just very quietly and simply go ahead and make little changes in your own behavior and your own attitude, that can make such a difference in your spouse feeling loved and appreciated and noticed in ways that maybe he or she hasn't recently. So, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's why I wrote the article about quiet resolutions, because when you make these big announcements, and of course that happens with a new year, I'm going to do this and I'm going to lose weight and we're going to communicate better and we're going to do all kinds of fun things together. And then when it doesn't happen, or doesn't happen exactly the way you've anticipated, then everybody's disappointed. But I think when you can kind of quietly resolve to ask how the waves are, or how one's day went, or just to express gratitude, and for something that may seem very small, but the fact of expressing gratitude can be huge in a relationship. And I also think that another resolution that can make such a difference is giving high priority to time together. And a lot of people think, that's tough, because so many things can come between us and time together. It's like we're working longer hours these days and commuting, and if you have kids, everyone knows that life changes a lot when you have kids, and they do take a lot of time, and you both give it with love and willingness, but giving a higher priority to time alone together can really make a wonderful difference. It's kind of, sometimes you might want to establish a firm thing like a date night or something, or just surprise your spouse with a dinner out or time alone, or, that you've arranged, and as a nice surprise for them, or make it part of your routine on a daily basis. And in my article, I talked about this family who it's a husband and wife who both work outside the home, and they have 6 children, and they're all like school age and beyond. But they have this rule that after dinner every night for half an hour, the husband and wife have coffee together alone, and the kids can go do their homework or watch TV or whatever it is they're going to do, but they don't interrupt their parents for the half hour after dinner. And that's become a really treasured routine for them. And it's something that the kids honor too, because it's a short amount of time. But they were describing this daily half hour together as kind of a little oasis of calm in the middle of a very busy life together. So, and that they felt much, much closer since they've been able to do this. And I think this has been something they've done for several years now. And they've found that really helps them not lose touch with each other in the really busy routines of daily life, that we're all very familiar with. And I think another resolution that could make a huge difference is expressing love in small but important ways. You might actually say, I love you at a time that your partner might not expect it. But you can show it in some ways too, like taking on a household task that your spouse doesn't care for. For example, my husband and I have always had a very equal relationship throughout our marriage. I think it's one of the things that's really helped as time has gone by. But we always clean the house together, and I know that he hates vacuuming, and I really don't mind it. So I always very much take the lead and think, okay, you do this, but I'll do the vacuuming. And he always looks so relieved when I say I'm going to do that. And it's, there are times when if I'm traveling or, not at home, he'll do the whole house, but which I express a lot of gratitude for. But when I'm home and we're doing the housework together, I try to think of what tasks he really doesn't prefer and take those on. And that's made a difference over the years with us because he, again, feels that he matters, that I've noticed, and that I'm showing love and taking on this very mundane task. And I think little thoughtful things, like if you have kids, taking the kids out for an adventure together and letting your spouse have time alone or to be with a friend or to pursue an interest that maybe he or she wouldn't if the kids were home, like being able to go out with friends or play golf or whatever he or she would want to do. I think that can help a great deal. And also, and this gets back to, again, what you were saying, Jason, about, having who you are mirrored by your partner. But I think remembering something important to him or her can make such a difference. For example, like downloading a song that she especially likes, or remembering important days or dates, besides birthdays and anniversaries, can make a difference, or surprising him or her with small treats. And all of this says that I really care about you. You matter immensely to me. And all through our ups and downs, I really do love you. And there's so many, many ways to show love. And I think that when we have an opportunity to do that, it's so important to jump on it and just quietly do that.
These are some really great tips, and yet they're small things, but they take intention and effort. And, you use the example of vacuuming. Like I do not like cleaning, and I should probably...
He's allergic to it.
I should probably do it more often. But like from my perspective, it's going to take me a very conscious and thoughtful approach to be like, okay, I'm going to proactively clean the bathroom because, Sarah's going to like it, and I'm just going to do it. I'm not saying I do it, but it's something that I could do in your example. But I guess I'm stressing that some of these things, paying more attention to my partner, expressing gratitude, honoring our differences, and then prioritizing time and expressing love in small ways. They're all like really great things. And some are going to be easier for different individuals to implement than others. But the point is just the intention and not if you're listening to the show, it's likely you want to improve your relationship. That's most of our listeners. That's what we're here to do. And a lot of times we think of ways that we can change our partner, like you mentioned earlier. But the reality is we can pick one of these and don't even commit to doing it once a day. Just once a week, implement one of these and create a habit. And then you will likely see a change in your partner because they're going to be feeling more love. And it's just it's a great position to be in. And these tips are great things. Cause I know, like I said, when Sarah asks how my day is, it seems so simple, but like I feel loved in that instance. And those tiny things add up and that's really what can make a great relationship.
Before we continue on, we're going to take a short break to tell you about our sponsors.
When I heard that RX Bar was sponsoring the podcast, I was very excited because I'm pretty much obsessed with these things. I was looking for bars, I think it was last year, and I found RX Bars, the chocolate with sea salt. That's my favorite. And I absolutely love them. And almost most importantly, they're made with 100% whole ingredients and they have protein in them because we try to eat healthy and they don't have fillers, additives, chemicals, or added sugar. So not only do they taste great, but they don't have all of that bad stuff that you find in other bars.
All the junk. And they just came out with a kids version. So RX Bar Kids and our daughter Stella, she's 2. She loves eating yours. And so she's going to be super excited to be able to have her own bars now. And they come in 3 flavors, which I know you're going to love because you're a chocolate lover. But they have chocolate chip, apple, cinnamon raisin, and berry blast. And they're great for any occasion, especially for us when we're going to the beach. We just throw a bar into the stroller and we're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm not sharing my bars with Stella anymore. She can't have them. She's got to eat her RX Bars Kids now.
Yes, so you can get RX Bars at Target stores, or you can go online to their website and get 25% off your first order. And their website is rxbar.com/I do. And if you enter the promo code I do, you can get that 25% off. That's rxbar.com/I do. Today's show is also brought to you by the book Lovelands.
Lovelands, which is written by a past guest on our show and psychologist Dr. Deborah Campbell, is an easy-to-read guide to creating the relationship in life you most deeply desire. If you've ever wondered why you keep struggling with love and want to make lasting change for the better, Lovelands will show you how to make that change, not just in your relationship, but in every area of your life.
I'm deep in the middle of the book right now, and it's eye-opening. Deborah's wisdom from her own love mistakes as well as her client struggles has helped me examine myself and has allowed me to become even more aware of the reasons I get defensive or have poor communication or continue unhelpful patterns. Deborah really just tackles what's at the core of diverse relationship problems and simply tells us what helps and what doesn't.
Lovelands is available in hardcover on Amazon and audible.com. Visit idopodcast.com/Lovelands to buy your copy today. That's idopodcast.com/Lovelands.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You're so right. And on the same, on the other side of the coin, some of the little hurts and little disappointments and little signs of disrespect can corrode a relationship over time. And I've seen that happen, so many times. I've done a lot of couples counseling. And so many times it's not a big thing that can destroy a relationship, but 1,000 little things that keep a person feeling, unloved, uncared for, disrespected. And that can all add up on a negative scale. So I think it's so important to kind of make a quiet commitment to yourself to do as many little things as you can. And as you were saying, it doesn't have to be daily. It can be weekly. It can be just whenever it occurs to you, that when you have a choice, to make the choice to be kind, make the choice to be thoughtful about the other. And it's a wonderful way to nurture a relationship, because, marriage is not an easy automatic thing. I've seen people who start off loving each other very much, who are at each other's throats after a certain number of years. And it's often not something huge like an infidelity, but it's just this growing apart because of not feeling seen or heard or loved, in so many little ways that can add up to huge problems.
And we've talked about it on the show before, but the research that John Gottman has done about doing 5 positives to kind of counteract that one negative. And by doing these, these actionable tips that you're mentioning in this, that you've written in this article, it kind of builds up that positive bank with your partner, so that if there is a negative thing, you've kind of already worked toward building those positive affirmations in your relationship already. And it'll probably be a lot easier to overcome those harder challenges that you have in your relationship.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's something that really builds resilience when you have a surplus of goodwill and you know that you're loved and you know that your partner really cares about you. Then, when something does come up that's really problematic, you can really get through it so much better. And, it's easier to deal with problems, and it's easier to deal with times when maybe just as a natural course of things you're not feeling quite so close. So all this buildup of good feelings, or maybe doing one small thing during a time of distance, can help you to reconnect.
It's so important to do. And Dr. Kathy, these tips are really great. And I just want to reiterate them for our listeners. It's the first half of the year. You can make this it doesn't have to be a New Year's resolution. Make it a resolution to do. And, just pick one a day or one a week. And I just want to go over them one more time. That's pay more attention to your partner. Ask how their day was. Express gratitude. Compliment your partner. Honor your differences. Make an agreement about going to the social function if you don't really want to, but find that compromise and honor your differences, and then prioritize a time together. Put it on the calendar. Make a date night or a date lunch, like Sarah and I are about to go to. We got a date lunch. We're gonna line it up.
Good.
And then express love in small ways. So doing those household chores, your partner normally does. Just be proactive. Take the kids. These are all little things, but again, like we said, it's these little things that add up to make a successful relationship, and it does take work. So, Dr. Kathy, these are really great tips that you've given Sarah and I and our listeners. So let's finish up by having you tell us where we can find you online, and then we'll say goodbye.
Okay. My website is www.drkathymccoy.com, and it's DrKathyMcCoy.com. And on that website, you can see all of my books. My latest book is We Don't Talk Anymore, which is about parent and adult child estrangements. But I also have a podcast. And I also have, of course, the articles I do in psychologytoday.com, and those can all be found on my website.
Excellent. Well, we will link to your website on your show notes page on our website at idopodcast.com. And our listeners know to go there to check out all those great resources you've provided us with. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
We hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. As always, you can find the links from today's show on our website at idopodcast.com. And while you're on the website, we encourage that you check out some of the free resources that we've created for you guys. One of those is the 14-day Happy Couple Challenge. And we send you an email every day for 14 days with doable challenges to help strengthen and make your relationship even better. And we've also created cheat sheets and workbooks for your relationship, and you can find all of those on our website. And lastly, our Facebook group, which is the Love Tribe. We encourage all of you guys to join our group there as well. And if you ever have any topic suggestions or ideas for the podcast, please send them our way. You can email us at info@idopodcast.com, and we would love to hear from you guys. And we hope you enjoyed today's show.